Hello, today I'm going to be painting this river scene with a little bit of forest in the background. You can see the reference to the right, and I've already started. As you can see, I don't really follow the reference as such. It's just there to give me a rough idea. I'm very much not careful where things go, but I'm gonna, use it to give me some information about the rocks, the river, the foliage, things like that, the colors, and things like that. So I'm going to be talking over the next like 15 minutes about my process. I haven't cut anything out, but I've speeded the video up to 2 times. So this painting took me about 30 minutes, and so we got about 15 minutes in, and you can see I'm just doing simple things in the background, nothing too hard to explain there. But basically what I'm trying to do is put in big shapes. In Procreate, there's a cool tool with the select color fill, the little bucket. And I use this quite often to get big shapes in. It's not the only way. You can use big brushes, and that's totally fine. It's the same thing, whatever's comfortable. But basically, it's all about the big shapes. This is going to decide basically if my painting works or not at the big shape stage. So I'm quite careful. Yeah, I go fairly slow with the big shapes, and I try to get the colors, reasonably accurate, but I'm not too worried about it. The reference I use, I generally have them pretty small. I'm not trying to worry about detail. I think it's very important not to worry about detail. I would say at any stage of the painting, don't worry about detail, but especially early on, then just forget detail whatsoever. So it's all about, well, for me anyway, in my style, it's all about the shapes. So it will be me trying to make interest in shapes. And what that means is a varying size and angles and little gaps here and there. So if you have a look at my painting here now that I haven't done so much yet, you'll notice that there's very unlikely to be the same shape twice, and that is very important. Hard to do though. So early on, when I used to try and make shapes, I would quite often make patterns, and that's that's built into our brain to make patterns. And so if you do one, so I just did it there actually, just as I'm talking. You see those two rocks on the left with a highlight? They're almost exactly the same. It has the same weird little indent down the bottom left. So, that's a fairly subtle one, but if you're kind of new to this, you will have really obvious patterns. Like if you paint a tree, or if you make a tree shape, you'll make the same tree shape over and over and over. Now, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is, because in nature, you do get patterns in nature, but unfortunately we don't like our paintings to have symmetry, unless it's just a painting with basically perfect symmetry. That works too, but once we go off symmetry, then we really need to go very, very off. And so keep an eye on that. And if you're going to do shapes, big shapes early on, your major concern is not to make symmetry anywhere. Well, it's not so much symmetry. Try not to make the same shape more than once. It's okay as long as it's not right next to each other. We might accidentally do it from one side of the painting to the next, but as long as you don't do it right next to each other. Rocks are kind of famous for us trying to make them all look the same. I've done this many times, so it's not like I'm telling you it's I completely avoided it. I did not, and I still do it now, and I still do the same pattern over and over. Like you said, I did it exactly on the rocks, and it doesn't even have to be a simple pattern. It can be a weird pattern, and you still do it twice. So what happens with our brain, I think, so I'm told, that when we make a pattern and we like the pattern, our brain says, "Oh, that was cool. Let's do it again." So exactly, we do it again. But in painting, we don't want to do that. So eventually, you can just catch yourself. If you make enough patterns, you can kind of stop yourself. But it is a conscious thing, because subconsciously we still want to make the same patterns. So hopefully I made the point there. Maybe I dwelled on it a bit too long, but you can see I'm still making patterns, so I'm, good 5 minutes in, which is 10 minutes in real time, and I'm still basically making patterns. So this is really fundamental to any painting. You don't really need to use the color fill tool here to do this. You can just be using brushes, but you still need the shapes, because they're going to decide, the form of everything. And you can't really paint your way out of that. Once you've decided, okay, this shape's going to be this, and, let's change. Obviously, you can change the shape. There's digital painting. We can do what we want, right? But it's going to be really difficult. And when for me, over the years of painting, that I've really realized that if I try and start to change things too much, it generally just goes sideways. So if I don't have a good base to work on, it generally just goes from bad to worse. So sometimes I do these and I don't get nice shapes. Now, I usually either just undo my layer, clear the layer and get some nice shapes back in, or sometimes I just abandon it altogether, because sometimes the shapes don't come to me well, and then I'll just get rid of it, and I think this is not going to work. So I can't really overestimate how important the shapes are. And what's going to come now is, obviously you can see that I've started painting over the shapes with highlights. Nothing special there. Again, it's the exact same process. On top of the layer where I made the big shapes is just to highlight them. So it's obviously very important where the sun comes from. In this case, it's the top right-ish, although it's kind of just kind of like a little bit everywhere on this painting, so it's not such a big deal, as long as you've got some shadows. Because this is quite a bright painting, so there's no obvious big shadows anywhere, so it's not such a big deal. But again, it's shapes. It's all about the shapes. But once I got the shapes in, you get to arguably the fun part. I guess I do like making the shapes. But I think rendering things is why most of us get into this, i.e. adding detail and things. So I'm onto that part now. So once all my shapes are in, I think, yeah, they're cool. To rewind a little bit, I don't really dwell on my shapes. You have to kind of do the shapes, well, for me anyway. Maybe you can take your time with shapes. I'm not sure. Let me know. But I can't. I really have to do my shapes quick. The reason I have to do them quick, like I said, if I don't do them quick, I end up with duplicate shapes everywhere. And so if I find if I go fast, I don't have time to really, do these copy shapes everywhere. At least that's what I noticed. If I slow down, the shapes get worse for some reason. So if you're finding your shapes are rubbish, try speeding up. And I can't guarantee it's going to work, but it works for me. So try speeding up and see if that works. Because I think to try and make a nice shape, you kind of got to do it subconsciously. And if you think about a shape, you can't really think about a nice shape. That doesn't really make sense. To me, anyway. Let me know if you can make nice shapes slowly. I guess you can make one or two, but you kind of can make loads of them. So anyway, if you weren't wondering about the brush, I'm using Flat Brush. I think it's in the painting section. It's just built in Procreate anyway, but it's called Flat Brush for sure. You will have seen me picked it at some point, but I'm just using the same brush all the time. I don't really... I think I'd use another one. I think it's for the water. I think it's called Pandini. I think it might be in the inking section. But another thing I see so many people talking about on YouTube is you need this brush, you need this brush. You don't need any brushes other than the ones built in. The only reason they say that is because they're trying to sell you brushes. That's the only reason. And I understand they need to make money. And maybe I'll try and sell you brushes. And I'll hate that if anybody notices, they might bring this up to me in a couple of years when I'm selling you my brushes. I mean, not to say the brushes aren't great, the creative custom ones, but if you're, thinking this brush is going to make my painting better, it's not. It's definitely not. But that's not to say people making brushes are not have good brushes. They just you don't need them. So use the default ones if you're struggling, and you'll be fine. I only use the default brushes, so you don't need them. And about this point, do me a favor if you've got this far. Hopefully you're learning something, and please subscribe and like and leave a comment. It makes a massive difference to the channel. I kind of wish it didn't. I wish you could just watch it and it'd be fine. But unfortunately, YouTube won't really promote my videos unless you engage. So do me a favor, and I'd be much appreciated. But back to the painting. And so I think I'm using that little Pandini brush now, but it could be basically anything. And what I'm trying to do is, once I got those big shapes in, and I've done lots of stuff to them and added the highlights, some shadows. You'll notice I put the shadows into the rocks. One thing to notice about rock shadows is they're kind of bright, and especially around water, because they reflect in the water. If you got bright water, which I do, it's like the bluey greeny water, which I always like. If you're gonna do this style, one thing to mention, right, that the blue water is very much not blue. So if you look at my logo in the top left, that's blue. So look at the water again, and you see how not blue it is. It's very much to the green. So it's in between green and blue. Now it's clearly not green, so you don't want to go that far. But push it towards the green, and you get that nice turquoise color, which is great for streams and rivers and things, because it's, even if you don't even paint it translucent, it looks translucent, which is great. So it's a nice, easy, fake way to do the water. So if you're wondering how I pick colors, I can't really talk about that in detail right now because it's quite complicated. I don't color pick anymore. I used to though. So if you're not used to colors and you color pick, I'm not going to judge you for that. But you notice my colors don't match the reference really at all, because colors are not even that important. You can change your colors to whatever you want, as long as they're not crazy, obviously. So you don't really have to match it. If you look at the reference, maybe my back forest thing isn't dark enough or whatever, but I'm not trying to match the reference at all. At most of the time, I'm not even looking at the reference. I'm not really exaggerating that. Most of the time, I'm watching what I'm doing. I'm not watching the reference. Now and again, if I think, okay, what's going on here, I'll have a look. But generally, I'm not. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to have fun generally, and for me, looking at the reference is generally not fun. So I'd rather mess up the painting and just enjoy what I'm doing rather than match the reference, because this is my reference anyway. Nobody has this reference. So if I didn't show you, you wouldn't know what it looked like, and you wouldn't know if I matched it. So, if it's your reference, then nobody has a clue. So don't try and match the reference. I would say go out your way not to match the reference, and you'll have more fun. Just use the reference when you're struggling with, like, well, what color should this be? Should be light or dark. So not so much the color exactly, is like how light or dark it is generally the most important thing. Is how bright is that color, how dark is that color. So that's the most important thing, so if I'm working on part of the water and I'm like, is that part of the water dark or is it light? Now the color's up to me, but is it dark or light? That's the important part. And I have seen a tip by some people, which wouldn't be a bad idea. I haven't done this for a long time, but I used to, when color was a problem for me. And I've been painting for many years, but when I started painting, color was one of the hardest things, and it is still difficult, don't get me wrong, but one way to get around that, if it's really hard for you, and just to pause a little bit, it takes time to understand colors. It takes time to learn to see colors. So if you start painting, depending on how long you've been painting, you can't actually see color properly until you've done it long enough. And how you see it is color relationships. So again, I don't want to get in too much detail, but if you look at the green and you say, oh, I want a different green, you got to look at the green that's next to it and change it. So that's basically what it is. Now maybe I'll try and do a video on color one day, but it's even hard for me to explain. So bear with me on that, and I'll try my best. But I'm still trying to formulate exactly what I do, because it's kind of muscle memory right now, and I don't want to confuse anybody. I've read books on color, and quite a few books on color actually, and to be honest, they're terrible. They make no sense whatsoever, and I'm like, that didn't help at all. So I don't want to just put another video out there that doesn't really help, and so I want to kind of simplify it and not overcomplicate. It's not crazy hard. So anyway, I'm just finishing off a couple of details, so I'm pretty much done. And this one was a good one. I like doing water. They can be quite hard though. But again, if you like this, give me a sub and a like, and give me a shout in the comments to give me some direction on what else you want to see. So thanks for watching. Bye.